My sister needed the date of your wedding, your venue, and your florist. Do you understand, right? My mother said those words 3 weeks before the day I had planned for 2 years. And instead of screaming or crying like any normal person would, I smiled sweetly and said, "Of course, Mom, whatever you need." But what my mother did not know, what none of them knew, was that I had spent my entire life preparing for the moment I would finally stop being the family doormat. And my sister's stolen wedding would become the stage for a toast none of them would ever forget. Before I tell you exactly what I said that made my mother faint, my sister scream, and my father storm out of his own daughter's reception, take a moment to subscribe and comment where you are watching from. This story might change the way you see family loyalty, self-respect, and the explosive power of a woman who is finally done. My name is Elena Vargas and I am 31 years old. For 3 decades I have been the invisible daughter, the responsible one, the reliable one who never complained while my younger sister Valeria Castillo got everything she wanted. Valeria is 27, beautiful in that natural way that makes other women feel insecure just standing next to her. She has the golden hair, the perfect skin, and the personality that charms anyone within 2 meters. She was the homecoming queen, the prom queen, the daughter my parents truly wanted. I was the test run, the first draft, the practice daughter they had before they learned how to make something perfect. Growing up, the favoritism was never subtle. Valeria received a brand new car on her 16th birthday. I received an old Honda with a broken air conditioner and was told I should be grateful. Valeria had her entire university paid for. I worked 3 jobs and took out loans I am still paying off. Valeria's apartment was fully furnished by my parents. I slept on a mattress on the floor for 2 years because I could not afford a bed frame. Every time I pointed out the inequality they said I was exaggerating. Valeria is younger, she needs more help, my mother would say. You are the strong one, Elena, you will be fine. I was not fine, but I pretended to be because that is what the invisible daughter does. When I got engaged to my fiancé Lucas 3 years ago, I thought things would finally change. Lucas is everything I had ever wanted. Kind, supportive, successful, and completely immune to my family's dysfunction. He saw me when no one else did. He loved me when I did not even love myself. We planned our wedding for 2 years. 2 years of saving every penny, visiting dozens of venues, tasting countless cakes, and dreaming of the day I would finally feel like the main character in my own life. We booked Palacio Dorado, a beautiful historic mansion with gardens straight out of a fairy tale. We secured the date, the 15th of June. We hired the best florist in the state, a woman whose arrangements were so stunning I cried when I saw the samples. Everything was perfect, everything was finally about me. And then, 3 weeks before the wedding, my mother called. Elena, sweetheart, we need to talk. Her voice had that specific tone she used when she was about to ask me to sacrifice something for Valeria. I knew it well, I had heard it my whole life. What is it, Mom? Your sister got engaged last night. Bradley proposed in that fancy downtown restaurant. It was magical. She is so happy, Elena, I have never seen her this happy. I waited as an icy knot formed in my stomach. The problem is, my mother continued, they want to get married quickly. Bradley is being transferred to London in July and they need to be married before then for the visa. And you know how much Valeria has always loved Palacio Dorado. Mom, no. She really needs this, Elena. It would mean the world to her. And the florist too. Valeria was fascinated by the arrangements you showed us. It would be so much easier if she just took your reservations. You can reschedule for later, right? Maybe in autumn. October is lovely for weddings. I could not speak. I literally could not form words. Elena, are you still there? I knew you would understand. You were always so reasonable. Something inside me cracked. It did not break. It cracked. There is a difference. When something breaks, it collapses. When it cracks, it lets the light in. Of course, Mom, I heard myself say, whatever you need. The relief in my mother's voice was obvious. Oh, thank God. I knew I could count on you. You were such a good sister. After hanging up, I sat in silence for a long time. Lucas found me an hour later, still staring at the wall. What happened? He asked. I told him everything and then told him what I was going to do about it. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he took my hand and said, I have been waiting 30 years for you to do this. I will stand by your side. During the next 3 weeks I played my role perfectly. I smiled at family dinners. I helped Valeria with her wedding planning. I assured my mother I was fine. Really, totally fine, not upset at all. I was the perfect, compliant, invisible Elena everyone expected. But behind the scenes I prepared. I gathered evidence, 27 years of it. I found the emails my mother sent to relatives explaining why they should not give me graduation gifts because Elena does not need much. I dug up the bank statements showing the $80,000 my parents spent on Valeria's education while I drowned in student debt. I found the family photos where I had been cropped out, the guest lists where I had been forgotten, the message chains where my mother and sister mocked me behind my back. And I found the biggest secret of all, the one that would destroy forever the perfect family portrait they protected so carefully. The day of the wedding arrived. My wedding day in my venue with my florist. Valeria looked spectacular, of course, wearing a designer dress my parents paid for. Mine was going to be off the rack, but that was fine. I was the strong one. Remember? She walked down the aisle like a princess while my mother cried with happiness and my father smiled with pride. The ceremony was beautiful. The reception was elegant. Everything was exactly as I had planned 2 years earlier for myself. When it was time for the toasts, Valeria's maid of honor gave a speech about how beautiful the bride was and how kind her soul was. I watched my parents wiping away moved tears. Then the DJ handed me the microphone. As the sister of the bride, he announced, "Elena wants to say a few words." I stood up, smoothing my simple navy dress that Valeria had chosen for me because it would not distract from the bridal party. I walked to the front of the room with 200 eyes on me and smiled. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the love of Valeria and Bradley. This really is a beautiful wedding and it should be. I spent 2 years planning it. A murmur of confusion swept through the room. Valeria's smile tightened. For those who do not know, this was supposed to be my wedding day, the 15th of June at Palacio Dorado with the beautiful floral arrangements by my florist. But 3 weeks ago, my mother called to explain that Valeria needed my date, my venue, and my vendors because Valeria needed them. The silence was absolute. My mother's face turned white. Maybe this sounds shocking to some of you, but for me it was just another day in the Castillo family. Let me tell you about some others. I took out my phone and began to read. When I was 17, I worked 40 hours a week to save for university while Valeria received a brand new luxury car. At 22, they told me there was no money for my graduation party, but 6 months later Valeria received a trip to Paris for hers. At 25, I asked my parents for a loan to start my business and they refused. A year later they gave Valeria $60,000 for her apartment. The guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Valeria looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. I have emails, I continued, where Mom told relatives not to give me birthday gifts because Elena does not need much. She is the strong one. I have messages where my mother and sister talked about how pathetic I was for still wanting a relationship with this family. Elena, enough. My mother started to stand up. I am not finished. My voice was calm and firm. 27 years of suppressed anger was finally breathing. There is one more thing I need to share. The one that explains why I was always treated as less, even though I never understood what I did to deserve it. I turned to my father. Dad, do you want to tell everyone or should I? His face turned grey. When I was applying to university I needed my birth certificate for some paperwork. I found it in Dad's office and I also found something else. A paternity test dated 3 months after I was born. Gasps filled the room. The test came back negative. I am not my father's biological daughter. My mother had an affair and I have been punished for it my entire life. My mother broke into tears. My father remained frozen, unable to speak. For 27 years I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was not worthy of love, that I had no value, that I was defective. I spent my whole life trying to earn affection that was never going to come because I was paying for my mother's mistake. I looked at Valeria, who was now crying too, though I did not know if it was from guilt or shame. I am not doing this to ruin your day, Valeria. I am doing it because I refuse to stay silent for one more second. I refuse to keep pretending this family is normal while I disappear little by little. I placed the microphone on the table. Just to be clear, Lucas and I got married 3 days ago in a private civil ceremony. It was perfect. I raised my left hand, showing the ring I had been hiding. So this venue, this date, and these flowers did not steal my wedding. They only got the party. And honestly, looking at all of you right now, I am glad I did not waste my real wedding day on this family. The room erupted. My mother fainted, truly fainted, falling into my father's arms. Valeria screamed at Bradley, who looked like he had been hit by a truck. Some relatives whispered, others left, and a few even applauded. Lucas appeared at my side and offered his arm. "Ready to go?" he asked. "More than ready." We walked out of Palacio Dorado together, leaving the chaos behind. The consequences were exactly as I expected. My mother sent dozens of messages alternating between rage and guilt. Valeria blocked me everywhere. My father has not spoken to me since. But here is the truth. I do not miss them. For the first time in 31 years I feel free. I no longer wake up wondering what I have to sacrifice today to keep the peace. I no longer check my phone waiting for approval that never comes. I no longer make myself small to leave space for someone else's spotlight. Lucas and I went on our honeymoon to Greece. We swam in the Aegean Sea, watched sunsets in Santorini, and planned a future that belongs only to us. When we returned, I started therapy, not to process the loss of my family, but to understand why I allowed him to treat me that way for so long. Last month I received a letter from a cousin who was at the wedding. She thanked me for my courage to speak up. "I always knew something was wrong," she wrote. "I just never imagined it was this serious. You inspired me to look at the dynamics in my own family differently." That letter meant more to me than any apology ever could. My family gave my wedding venue to my sister. I gave them a toast they will never forget. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.